There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. A little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bom dia, alegria. And yes, do please like and comment and share. That'll be awesome. That'll be really helpful. We're nearly at 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. You know, isn't that a great achievement in a relatively short space of time? And we've not had to buy a single one. Some people do that, you know, the rascals, when building their YouTube audience. We're thoroughly organic here, as you might expect. Free range, organic, and locally sourced. Depending on your locality, of course. I hope you're well this morning. Tudo bem? Como estás? Do let me know in the comments if you're here this morning, and we have a lovely, lovely show lined up for you this morning. Thursdays, places, and is that biscuit in my beard? No, I hope not. Those of you in high definition will be able to tell me. Yeah, maybe just send me a little WhatsApp message. Although I can't get that cranked up this morning. Oh, fiendish technology. Hopefully that will sort itself out. I'll come back to that. Do send your pics in, though. 913-590-303. Now, Thursdays on the Good Morning Portugal live stream with me, Carl Munson from expatsportugal.com. Moving to Portugal. Places and spaces in Portugal. The day of the week where we like to have a little bit of a deeper dive into localities. And it came to my attention this week, a beautiful homestead. Those of you who are my Facebook friends will have seen a delightful residence in Cernache de Bonjardim, which is near Certa. I believe it's in the Castelo Branco area, not too far from Tomar, but we're talking about central Portugal, and we're talking about the most delightful homestead near Cernache de Bonjardim. And the owners of said house, who I think are big fans of Portugal, who can blame them, will be joining me after 9 o'clock to talk about their journey and their house, which actually they're moving from. We'll find out about their plans this morning. But what a beautiful home. Shall I see if I can find the pictures that we're talking about? Just give you a little bit of a taster of what went on. Oh, yeah, I've been busy on my Facebook. I'm just scrolling back through my Facebook timeline. Oh, I have been busy and mischievous on Facebook just recently. Oh, the trigger alert. Oh, I think our guests are here already. Bless them. And they're not due yet, though. After 9 o'clock is when we'll speak to them. And I think, okay. I'm going to start. I should have done this before, shouldn't I? I'm going to save these. Let me just bring you the first image of the homestead. And you're going to like this. And then we'll talk to them. We'll talk to April and Rupert at 9 o'clock. So, folks, do you want to grab a cup of tea between now and then? And we'll see. But I can see you loud and clear. And we'll see you at just after 9 o'clock. All right. Thumbs up there. Do help yourself to the virtual canapes in the green room, won't you, there? And the Prosecco. But don't get too giddy. It's only morning still. But what the heck? Espumante in Portugal. Very, very alluring and attractive this time of the morning. But I've still got to wait another 7 months for that. Baldylocks is here. Good to see you, Baldylocks, this morning. Cindy B. Let's say hello to a few folks. And actually, no, I was going to show you that picture, wasn't I? Let me show you the picture, and then we'll say hello to a few folks. But look at this delightful home. It's a beautiful place. The sort of place where you see online, you go, oh, that's nice. I wonder where that is. Wonder how much that is. Oh, look at those lovely interior pictures. And I'll bring you all of those a little bit later on. But there's an exterior picture. Lovely home there. I think is that the swimming pool in the foreground as well. Superb. Central Portugal at its best. We'll talk to April and Rupert after 9 o'clock. So, Bom dia, alegria, Gumpers. Gumpters from a sunny San Martino de Porto. Says Cindy B this morning. Great to have you here, Cindy B. And we'll talk to Cindy on Monday afternoon, just after 6 o'clock next Monday. And we'll talk to her about her new permaculture course that she's running online, 6-parter. And permaculture, a really important philosophy, set of design principles, a way of growing. It's practical, it's theoretical, it's everything. And I think you'll You'll love it if you get to know about it. And I'm sure Cindy B would, even if you do know a little bit about it, will welcome you onto the course. It's always nice to get a refresher in permaculture, I think, and reacquaint oneself with the fine principles of this said horticultural and lifestyle art. James is here. How are you doing? Sent you a message late last night. Bit concerned about you after your appearance yesterday, where you were a little the worse for wear. You weren't the Mae West yesterday, were you? Bon dia, Gumpers. Sounds like he's got the lead back in his pencil this morning, would you say? Feliz Quinta y Alegría a todos from James this morning. And yes, look at that. A lovely banana slug picky of his. Yeah, that seems like a dim and distant memory, doesn't it? A woman wrestling a yellow banana slug, but something certainly that should be brought back to the screens of the world sometime soon. Bon dia a todos from a partly sunny Portugal. Thanks, you're saving me a job with the weather here. Let me know how it is, how you are, and how the weather is where you are in Portugal, or anywhere in the world for that matter. Bon dia alegria from Thunder as well. Hello, mate. Good morning to you and Mrs. Duck. Good morning, everyone from San Diego, California. My goodness, what time have you got there, Baldilocks? And tell us more about yourself. Are you a YouTuber with that fantastic name, I wonder? Antonio F. Bon dia todos y todas from Antonio F. this morning. And good morning, Portugal, from Capricorn as well, from Chris this morning, who I'm sure will have a jazz funk soul track for us this morning. Bon dia to you, Chris, and looking forward to your what's it called? Faija do dia, your track of the day this morning. Ian Turner, how was it at the track yesterday, Coach? Bon dia, Gumpers. Frosty here, so walking carefully this morning, tiptoeing around the place. Just be careful out there, especially if you're anywhere near the calzada. Talking to me mum, she misheard me yesterday. She was talking about, we saw an old gentleman. We were on our way to a large shopping centre, which was an interesting experience yesterday. I see that it's easier for some of the most some of the greatest miscreants of our society to get into a food court than it is for other people still. But news story on that to come in just a moment. I will take a look at the news items this morning, articles we'll call them, not stories, and let you know about some of the thoughts and ideas that are going around ahead of the election, of course, and as we go into the third year of the pandemic. But some interesting stuff to share with you. Frosty here. So walking carefully this morning, says Coach Turner. Just be careful out there. Yeah, talking to my mum yesterday as we saw an old gentleman walking. I always want to just stop, but there was no room in the car for this old fellow who was walking along yesterday with his umbrella. Looked like he'd already got to the stage, you know, when the bottoms of your trousers are a little bit soggy. And there he was. And we both looked, my mother and I looked at him and thought, oh dear, he's out on the calzadas. And my mum was saying, there's no way you'll catch me on those today in this slippery weather. And I said, yeah, no respect for anyone, whether you're a king or a pauper. He said, what do you mean? I do respect him. She thought I was talking about her. The calzadas, of course, are the things that show no respect to anybody. They don't care who you are. They will take you down, given half the chance. So do be careful, as Coach says there, on the calzadas or any slippery surface this morning. Slippery surfaces, James. Hola, etc. Oh, brief and to the point this morning, Rebel Mama. Thank you for that. Hola, etc. Back to you. Hola, bon dia. Or ooh la la, bon dia. Happy Thursday with love to you, Gumpers. Ooh la la, bon dia. There's a nice way of saying it. That sounds very us, doesn't it? Mrs. Capricorn 12 and I have been doing our 15 minutes a day, and it's getting better and better. Ooh, and what about the Portuguese, Chris? Hey, Ian, Rebel Mama, a wave to you there. And Rebel Mama coming right back. Coach! Anyone, here's a question. Anyone know where I can find definitive rules for entering a restaurant? What are you thinking? Definitive rules? 2022 definitive rules? They do not belong in the same sentence, Thunder Duck. I thought the requirements ended on Sunday, but yesterday we were kicked out of a restaurant. Our papers weren't. Your papers are not in order. Okay, so you have to go home and grind up some acorns and make your own ersatz coffee at home. Am I overdoing it? So, Thunder, we'll see what we can do when we turn our attention to the news items in a moment, because there's a little bit in there about that. But as for definitive, come on, forget it. Bon dia, Rebel Mama, Antonio F, Expats, Portugal, Thunder Duck, Cindy B, James Holly. This is very, very nice, Chris, what you're doing here. Lonnie McLaughlin, Oregonians living in Portugal. I don't think I name-checked Lonnie. Did I just put his thing up on the screen? Oh, no, I did. I mentioned your weather check, didn't I, Lonnie? Thank you for that. But that's fantastic. Good job. Everyone doesn't do that, though, Chris. We'll leave that to you to say hello to everybody in the room. If the government is going to impose draconian totalitarian rules, then at the very least they should be clear and upfront about those rules. Well, you would think so, wouldn't you? But maybe the part of the strategy is to confuse people. No, don't be so cynical. Had a profound Portuguese learning experience. Studies show HIIT and language learning go together. So the high intensity interval training, not just for the body, but for the mind also. I did 20 minutes of high intensity interval training, then did my Portuguese lesson, and I felt like my brain was focused and clear. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you did a quick burst of learning the language, like you're sprinting through your textbook, and then you stopped for a moment, and then you walked for a little bit through your textbook. I see what you mean. But yeah, that makes complete and utter sense, Rebel Mama, does it not? That you would be in a receptive and resourceful state, having got your chi energy pulsing around your body. Very good, like it. And a good suggestion from Chris, Capricorn 12 to Thunderduck, Try Safer Communities Portugal. They have been consistently helpful throughout all of this. And yeah, that's a good place to try. So if you find a good link there, Thunder, you know what to do. Do share it with us. And Cindy B, I hope I've explained what HIIT is. It is high intensity interval training where you stop and start. Also known, my favorite name for it is fartlek. You will not be surprised to understand. Fartlek is the name, the originating name, or the original name of such an approach to physical training. So there you go, high intensity interval training. Basically, you exercise like crazy for 45 seconds, the rest for 15, and repeat. Much better for you than cardio, etc. It is the leading edge of physical fitness, it would appear, and it's what the coach taught us on the Growing Old Disgracefully program, which I will share with the world as soon as I have a moment. But both Victoria, who's here as well, hola bon dia kids, and Rebel Mama and myself, we were the guinea pigs for Coach Turner's system, process, suggestions, and very good they are too. So we're hoping to make that available to more of the rest of the world very soon. Yes, obrigado, Carl. Feeling much better today, says James, remembering that occasionally feeling poorly is a great reminder. Contrast, James, to always be grateful for all the glorious days of feeling well. Yes, because the human mind is not very good at that sometimes. So that's nice silver lining to your booster cloud yesterday. Nice one, James. Glad to hear you feeling better. The info on Safer Communities Portugal appears to be from last summer. Sorry to laugh. Sorry. Hiya, Coach from Victoria. I'm going to have to give that a try, says Cindy B. So if you do see a lovely lady from Texas running along the beach, and we should put a warning out, Cindy B, shouldn't we? Because there's two of us now who apparently are just walking along normally, and suddenly we burst into a run, and then we stop. And it looks quite random and strange, weird expat behavior on the beach or in the town where I am. But we should explain perhaps to the people of Silver Coast. No, don't worry. It's just fartlek, everybody. That will help, won't it? Laura P, bon dia. From Laura P. How are you this morning? And COVID restrictions are on until the 10th of January. There you go. Yeah, that is a bit of a milestone, isn't it? And then I think what I'm hearing is that everything's going to be, okay, relax everything. There's an election coming. We can't keep people indoors if they're going to be voting. So back to that in a moment. Hola, bon dia, Antonio from Victoria. And good morning, everyone, from Andy Portugal, who I think is on the other side of the water now. He's a proper swallow, is that fella, back and forth, more than a swallow, in fact. We're hearing here in the USA that if we come to Portugal, we have to have tests every 48 hours to go into. No, it's every 48 minutes, OLP. It is confusing, Carl. And I'm not helping, am I, with silly comments like that? I don't know. Is the honest answer. I really don't. But together we will find out. Okay, it's not good enough that I don't know. Although I'm not going to be beating myself up for it. I'm just saying, as a public service, it's not ideal. But together we will piece it together for you. Okay. The articles in the Portugal News and the Portugal Residents say that the restaurant restrictions were only for Christmas weekend and New Year's weekend, ending on January the 2nd. But other restrictions were definitely in place until the 10th of January, creating what they call the firebreak style, I think, of a bit of space to minimize cross-infection. Is that right? For all of you amateur epidemiologists, etc., etc. I'm not an epidemiologist, but what? You can imagine that being an epidemiologist, but at the moment, you would barely be in use at the moment. How busy the epidemiologists of the world have been. You can start off doing 20 seconds or less intensive effort and 40 seconds rest, then repeat. Gradually increase the length of effort over the coming weeks. So increasing the length gradually. Go on, James, write that down as well. Mark, bon dia alegria. Hello, Mark, how are you? And Jack Polly. So Mark's here, Jack Polly's here, bon dia alegria. Looking for a water filter kettle. Any ideas? No, but we have that separately in our house. We have an Eva water filter. A lot of people use the Berkey, don't they? Here in Portugal or anywhere else. It's not, I don't think it's, for those people who say, tap water's perfectly good enough. Fine. No problem. Drink the tap water. Some of us also like to an additional filter on the water. I've been filtering water now for many years, it turns out. I suddenly realized the other day. And so we used the Eva. It was one of the few things we brought with us, like a bunch of hippies in our camper van. We brought a guitar that none of us could play and a water filter and a box of tools. That's what I remember. Oh, and the children. Bondi Alegria, looking for a water filter kettle. Any ideas? So Eva or Berkey is the water filter solution. I would separate them. I'm not sure how good water filter kettle combos are. But on that subject, I have a new Chinese spy in the kitchen. I bought myself a smart kettle yesterday. So now every cup of tea I make is being logged by the Chinese government or associates, I think. Xiaomi, beautiful kettle. And I wanted the €30 one, and they'd sold out of that. And I thought, this is a cunning ploy here to get me to go up to the more expensive, double the price one at €59, €59.99. But then I sold it to myself. You know how you can do that? You stand there, don't you? And you don't need a salesperson in the shop because you're perfectly capable of selling things to yourself. And you think, that's a lot of money for a kettle, €59.99, but it is only euros and not pounds. That's one of the things that goes through my mind. Anyone else who does that? And then I think to myself, it's app controllable, and it's got a keep warm setting, and it's very nice. The styling is very nice, and it's part of the Internet of all things. So new Chinese spy in the kitchen. You don't have to have the Chinese spyware switched on, which I've done on Mrs. M's phone, Teehee, which you'll now probably delete having heard this. But yeah, Xiaomi, I think that their two kettles are really nice, is what I would recommend. But we live in a high scale area. So that in itself is a good idea, I think, for filtering the water. I think you'll take out some of the particulates that would cause scaling in your kettle, and it really affects the performance of the kettle. I'm sounding like a proper Mrs. Beaton this morning, aren't I? But I'm just fascinated by the idea of Chinese people being interested in how many times I boil my kettle. And Xiaomi have a whole range of things. Anyone else got a Xiaomi stuff, or Mi, whichever they call it, MI or Xiaomi? Anyone bought one of their Redmi phones? Any good? So let's go back to the comments after all of that consumer information. Normally we would do that on a Tuesday, but happy to do it for you today. Thunderduck at website. Estamos on, that is from the health minister, so direct from the horse's mouth there. And Pete Bleach is here. I've just tuned in and heard you saying about something unusual, or the local nudist beach. No, Pete, you think you're getting your fitness regimes mixed up there. I don't know. What are you Castelo Branco people like? Honestly, James Holly, recent Dr. Fauci clarified that the COVID tests do not test for being infectious. They only show that one has virus in the system, even when they are no longer infectious. So what do we make of that from the old rascal Dr. Fauci? He's a Marmite character, isn't he? Not that I would want to spread him on my toast, I hasten to add. Laura P., not only new restrictions that were for Christmas, but the previous ones that are still on. What do we call those? Hereditary or legacy restrictions, and now that we've been doing this for so long. Restaurants in Porto require proof of COVID vaccinations or negative COVID test, or just being under 12 is enough to get you into a restaurant as well. Dr. Fraudchi, I see what you did there, Fraudchi. Dr. Fraudchi admitted that the truth 2 years after 2 years. Hasn't he got a bit of a track record for this kind of playing with things in that way, being a little bit liberal with facts and figures, possibly for a personal agenda? But let's not get into that now, because this is what could happen, folks, if I start talking about Dr. Fauci. And we don't want that. Help, all you gumpers. We want to come, but it is not easy to navigate the hoops we must jump through to come there, to investigate places and the country in the whole to move there. OLP, let me just say to you that it sounds pretty terrifying, I suspect, from your perspective. You're thousands of miles away, aren't you? And you are hearing the worst of the restrictions and difficulties. And it doesn't help, does it, that people like me are possibly talking about them so cynically, and that the sense of confusion that there might be. What I can say to you that is clear is that I have so many more new American friends. The graph of American friendships is through the roof. Talk about hockey stick and or ice hockey stick, to use probably a better North American analogy. But people are coming to Portugal. Americans are coming to Portugal. They are navigating this successfully, and we do have each other to help understand these things. And it's pretty much turning in with our Expats Portugal forum and the networks we're creating, on WhatsApp. We are able to help each other almost in real time. So please, as devastating or difficult and challenging as it may sound, all that's going on this side of the water in this beautiful country that you want to come to, people are making it work. Okay, so do not despair and reach out in the forum. You got my number. I give out my number every day, 913-590-303. Thunderduck. Also, this validity of driving licenses with an expiration date between September 1st, 2020 and June 30th, 2021 remain valid for another 10 months from the date they expire. Hallelujah. Those are probably the very words the duck wants to hear this morning. Let's find out. And the PCR test. The PCR is not a test. It's an amplification process. Yeah, we've all become these kind of amateur scientists now, haven't we? Lateral flow. I mean, lateral flow sounds like it could be something really good, doesn't it? Just go with the lateral flow, dude. Easy does it. Thanks for that, Thunder. Bon dia, Carl, from a dark, wet Belfast. Not really selling it to us this morning. Off to the gym. Listen while keeping fit. Today, holy day of obligation. You go to mass. I'm not sure if it is one in Portugal. Okay, let's put that out to the crowd here. Have we got a holy day of obligation? I know that we have a rosary to buy and be blessed. Today might be the good day to do that. Mrs. Duck only has a Texas license. Oh, no, not satisfied, which doesn't expire for several more years. However, according to EI, is no longer valid in Portugal. Okay, but I think that, again, is another tick box on your side, Thunder. Print that out, stick it in the file that you carry in the car. Of course, Portuguese is the way to Portugal, the natural home of the lesser spotted, highlighted comb-over. Pictures, please, Pete. Although we probably can't out gentlemen of the comb-over variety, can we, without their permission? Every time I hear Carl read Jack Polly's name, says James, I think of my father. His name was Jack. It's a regular source of loving warmth. Jack Polly. There you go. Another one for you. For those who might be slower on the uptake, that means his name was Jack Holly. Oh, I see. That's me then. I only learned yesterday of Xiaomi, okay, and the Chinese spy in the kettle. Capricorn 12, Cub 1, aka Cub 1, aka our son, Cub 1, is that what you call him? Lovely. Got us to use a 5-litre filter, turns water into steam, then filters out the gunk, leaves the water in another jug, which we then use. Oh, the junk is awful when you see it. Yeah, that's enough to make you a lifelong water filterer, isn't it? I should also mention that we've been to several restaurants in Lisbon over the last few weeks and have not been asked to show anything to eat inside. Well, of course you haven't, because people have got fatigue with this as well, haven't they? After being the police force of the regulations is not what they signed up for. I just have an image of Carl in a bonnet in a pram getting into a restaurant as an under 12. Yes, Pete. To you, that might be a pleasing image. To others, it could be deeply disturbing. Okay, so let's have a quick look then at some of the news articles before we talk to the wonderful April and Rupert at 9 o'clock. It is Places and Spaces on a Thursday here on the Good Morning Portugal live stream. Oh, I think WhatsApp's working again. That's good to know. And okay, let me bring this onto the screen for you. How do I do this? Christmas break really dulled me metal, I think. Oh, there you go. You press that button and that button, and you should, by the magic of StreamYard and streaming technology. Oh, there you go. That's pretty clever. Well done, Carl. And I'm going to get rid of the weather. We don't need that. You did the weather for us. It wasn't raining this morning, thankfully, but it was pretty grey and miserly this morning. But it's brightening up already as I speak. Emergency landing for Faro flight. They touched down in France. I think because of a fire on board, only to be welcomed by Emmanuel Macron, not personally, but terrifying. What's worse? TAP asked crews to take on junior roles. Can you imagine how well that's going down at the moment at TAP, which is the safest airline in Europe? There you go. That's fantastic. New ID card for your property. Oh, no, really? Do properties have to be tested every 48 hours as well? I'm only kidding. This is what we should have read to you just recently. 29,000 to benefit from CEF residency renewals. This is a good item to share with you. As of the 4th of January, a couple of days ago, CEF will provide an automatic renewal function. Thank you. It was Rebel Mama, I think you sent me this, didn't you? And I've neglected to read it out over the last couple of days. We definitely need a 5-hour show, but I just can't physically do it. For approximately 29,000 foreign citizens whose residence permits expire on March the 31st. In a statement, the Foreigners and Borders Service, better known to you and I as CEF, but not for much longer. Oh, no, for a little bit longer because they've delayed it. It's going to be APMA at some point. States that this automatic renewal functionality is carried out within the compliance with safety rules and mitigation of the consequences that resulted from the health emergency situation. According to CEF, the 29,000 foreign citizens covered by this measure are those whose residence permits expire from January the 1st to March the 31st. If that's you, good news. CEF states that in July 2020, it launched a new feature in the personal area. Oh, don't be launching features in my personal area. How dare you, without my permission. Trigger alert of the CEF portal, where citizens can access the automatic renewal of their residence permit. And who doesn't like an automatic renewal in their personal area in the morning? That's our catchphrase, isn't it? It begins, and who doesn't like XXX in the morning? With the need to travel in person to an office. I've really confused you now, probably. This was confusing enough already. According to CEF, more than 161,000 automatic renewals have been carried out to date. CEF recalls that it has been adopting exceptional measures. We're all in the same boat of exceptional measures here, aren't we now? With a view to recovering pending issues and efficiency in document management for foreign citizens, namely the automatic renewals of residence permits. And do you know what? We're in the Portugal news, so we must read a couple of comments from those disgruntled beings, I think mainly in the Algarve. Funny thing is, they don't mention is the site is the site to renewals. Don't accept the old residence card that is in paper form and not accepted. Have been trying now for 8 months to renew. Where's that James guy? He's always good value, isn't he, on the comments? Automatic renewal on order, not to have to do real work. Oh, another Matthew, come on, take a chill pill. And how about issuing initial residency cards to those who've been waiting over a year now? Trigger alert. So there you go. That's the Portugal news there, plus comments. It's very moany there, isn't it? Very moany. Politicians listening to experts on how to tackle COVID-19 surge. Really? Wow. New isolation rules announced and calls to tackle exponential increase in seismic activity. And who doesn't like exponential increase in seismic activity in the morning? There you go. Squeezing that in. Okay, let's go to the Portugal resident, whilst probably some of you are screaming, no, we wanted to hear more about the restrictions, etc., etc. Can come back to that, can't we, after we've had a chat with Rupert and April in a little while. Let's go to the this lovely article here. Or it has a lovely headline anyway. To me, it's music to my ears, I'll tell you. Natasha Don, 5th of January yesterday. Oh, 6th of January today, of course. Happy birthday, Ruby! Freedoms should gradually be restored, say experts. In line with various other European countries, Portugal looks like it will be slowly taking its foot off the pedal when it comes to the imposition of everyday restrictions in the name of limiting the pandemic, flattening the curve. Only 2 months, only 2 weeks, only 2 months, only 2 jabs. I think we might be seeing the end of this now if article is to be believed. Omicron and its much more benign nature makes it sound like your favorite uncle. Uncle Omicron, with his benign nature, has seen the government's panel of experts give their opinions this week on where the country is going. I love these turns of phrase. The country is staying exactly where it is, hopefully, notwithstanding seismic activity. In terms of infections and numbers in hospitals, there is still quite some way to go. But the bottom line, sorry, I should read that as the bottom line, is that it's doable. That's very scientific language, doable. Thanks to the results of an exceptional vaccination campaign, which Portugal is now world famous for, of course, and numbers coming forwards to claim their boosters, the population appears to be well positioned to ride out they were well positioned. James, you've got a lot to write down this morning. The population appears to be well positioned to ride out, oh my word, this latest phase without any need for further limits on freedoms. Indeed, the overriding message was that freedoms should gradually be restored. And I should think so too, with an election coming up. Let's get the people out there voting. Taking the advice and opinions given on Wednesday from the top. The government heard that current incidence has reached I won't read all of these, but it looks like the scientists are suggesting that we should lift the brakes off the restrictions. And I'm going to hopefully go to a rousing, climactic last paragraph, which will make us all feel a lot better. Let's see. It is precisely because of this reduced adhesion by parents that the authorities have the space, what on earth are they talking about here, to roll out boosters for teachers whose union had been pushing for a further delay in the start of the school year in order to see older members of staff better protected with third shots. Okay, and practicing throwing the board rubber, of course, in training at teacher boot camp. So booster and a booster course in a more accurate throwing of the board rubber. That wasn't quite the ending I was looking for on the article there, but we will come back to that a little bit later on, as well as your comments, because now it is time at around the 9 o'clock point to welcome onto the screen April and Rupert. Good morning to you in Cernache de Bonjardim in central Portugal. Good morning. How are you?
Morning.
Morning.
Very good, thanks.
In your beautiful kitchen, I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very nice, very nice. So please do tell us about yourselves. It'll be lovely to hear about your journey to Portugal. Lovers of Portugal, I take it.
Very much so, very much so. It was kind of by accident. Originally, we were in France, and then we decided France wasn't right for us, so we came down to Portugal, and yeah, we've been loving it ever since. People are wonderful, very friendly, very hospitable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great place to be.
Can we dwell on France for a moment? Whereabouts in France were you?
Around a place called Messange, just north of, is it Biarritz?
Biarritz, yes.
Yeah.
Just on the southwest
nice.
coast on the Atlantic.
Very nice. And this seems to be a bit of a familiar thing. People go to France or to Spain, don't they, as an option to living in the UK for the rest of their lives. And suddenly Portugal comes on the agenda, doesn't it? How did you discover it?
I'd done a road trip a couple of years before and really enjoyed it. And then, yeah, we just came down and...
Yeah, it was just the right move for us at the time with all the Brexit paperwork as well. And it's such a wonderful country. It just made sense.
And you beat the Brexit deadline, did you? You were just able to ease yourselves in very easily. Weren't those happy times?
Thank goodness.
by the skin of our teeth, about 3 weeks to...
Yeah.
You were not the only ones, for sure. But suddenly people realised, didn't they, that we better get on with this because it could get a whole lot more difficult after this. So congratulations on doing that. Tell us about this lovely part of central Portugal, because I think, we know how it is, and you're probably the same. When you first heard about Portugal, it was probably Porto, Lisboa, and the Algarve. And not a lot of people know about this part of central Portugal. Certa is probably your most notable and nearest town, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes, they're pretty much the central point of the entire mainland of Portugal, which is quite funny on the map. But yeah, around here is a totally hidden gem, and it's massively overlooked, which is such a shame because there's so much to offer. With all the river beaches, the reservoirs, you can go water skiing just around the corner from us, and wakeboarding. They've got the first wakeboarding park in Trizio, which is only 7 kilometers away, and that's really good fun to either participate or personally watch at the moment.
So you've got the two options there to watch other wakeboarders. How does wakeboarding work? What's that? Is that being pulled along?
Yes, it is. It's been either put on. This is a pulley system, or you can get pulled along on a boat, a speedboat as such. It's very similar to snowboarding, actually, in principles and technicalities. So, yeah, and skateboarding as well. So it kind of blends in the three of them, and surfing as well. So you kind of cover all bases on similar styles. So it's definitely
fantastic.
Good.
So, yeah, some of the old giffers here will definitely have been skateboarders back in the day, so they might take very naturally to a bit of the old wakeboarding. You mentioned, and have you done it?
No, I do snowboarding instead. So
many years ago I did, but not recently. Not here.
So you just go and get a coffee and laugh at other people doing it at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah. Take a swim.
Yeah, enjoy the river.
Yeah,
And swim.
There's kayaking. There's everything else. You know, it's where you
Yeah.
can take a motorboat out if you want. You know, it's wonderful.
Yeah, really
Well,
great.
you can hire a motorboat and drive it yourself around there.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, well, this is fantastic, and this is Central Portugal life. You haven't got. See, a lot of people are thinking to themselves, "I need the sea, I need the Atlantic," but I think the river beaches and Paragens are a very good alternative, aren't they?
It's safer than some of the bigger waves that you get on the Atlantic coast.
That's
for
true.
sure. And you can, it's usually pretty much guaranteed. I mean, we obviously get a few waves, but it's very good for stand-up paddleboarding as well, if you're into that. So it's
I want
really
to try that.
all round. It's
And which is your favourite river beach over that way?
Trezio, probably.
Yeah, we go down to Trezio quite a lot, and it's quite practical because we've got 3 dogs, so we can get them in and out easily with swimming, and then quickly jumping them into towels to then stop the car getting totally mucky.
Yes, absolutely. That must be quite a spectacle. The 3 dogs embarking back into the vehicle after a muddy run around by the reservoir there. Trezio, how do we spell that? Because people are going to want to know about that with all the features you've just described.
Trizo.
Okay, Trezio. Okay, fantastic. Okay, good to know. And you've obviously got the great big reservoir there, the Barragem. What is that called? That's a castello of some sort, isn't it?
Oh,
Do you know that one?
We've
got 2. We've got one near Pedeo Grande and Pequeño. And then we've got one further down, just east of Figueira de Zezia.
Oh, okay. All right. So so that's what people need to be looking out for, is the brown signs pointing towards the Barragem and other sites of beauty, basically, like that. Okay, so Certa as well, a fantastic town, notable for me for a beer festival it had there, where they featured beer yoga. What other delights have you got in Certa, or even Cernache for that matter?
Well, I mean, this whole area, there's a number of like little festivals and markets and stuff throughout through every town all week. In Certa itself. You've got a castle for sightseeing. You've got a river that runs through it. You've got cafes. Got an outdoor swimming pool there, public pool. And then all amenities that you care for, 2-3 supermarkets and all that, all the boring stuff, but that you need in a place. So it's it's a well-equipped little town. And Cernache is very much the same. Cernache is actually, you don't really need to leave Cernache for all your needs in schools, health centres, all that sort of stuff. And then it's got an outdoor pool here as well. There's lots of walks. There's a rolling hills countryside. There's wonderful views to be had all around the area. We've done a lot of big hikes all around. You've got a local. And then there's a little quite a cheeky resort nearby as well, which a juicy oasis as well down there for those.
Juicy oasis.
Juicy oasis, yeah. It's where you can go for massages and that sort of stuff.
Oh, I say. Okay. Juicy oasis. Okay, so lots of things being written down, I suspect, because we've got people watching from all over the world, and I think we're switching them onto this part of the country. And you are moving from there, aren't you? And the reason I found out about you and your lovely house is because it's for sale. So is it all right to show a few pictures then, the ones that I saw on Facebook? Okay, so if you talk us through these, so you've heard about the area and the wonderful the water sports, as it were, the river beaches, the reservoirs, the hills, great places for dog walking, great places for hiking. I remember as well going to Cernache. I've only been there briefly, but still very authentic and traditional Portuguese as well. So you'll be going into bars and cafes, won't you, that local people use?
Yeah, absolutely.
Not heavily touristic, is it, like Certa necessarily?
A lot of independent shops as well. So we've got an amazing fruit and veg shop, and they're so lovely, and we can get all our weekly groceries from there for like €15, and that's on an expensive week.
On an expensive week.
Yeah, and the quality is fantastic.
Superb. Okay, so here's the exterior. Sorry, I have to hide you for a minute, but we'll still be able to hear you. So this is your lovely exterior, and is this swimming pool in the foreground here, and that's your outdoor sort of barbecuing area? There,
that's the pétanque. It's the pétanque court in the foreground, and then you've got
pétanque courts.
Yeah.
check you out with your pétanque court. So you didn't end up in France, but you brought the ball with you, and that's a pétanque court. How fantastic is that? All right. And then we have a look a little bit of outdoor dining. So this is a nice place. Presumably it does get very hot where you are. Well, you're talking about 40-degree days occasionally, and this will be a nice place to take refuge and have dinner.
Yeah. No, it's a really lovely place for dinner, absolutely. And you can put a little sail up just to add some more shades. And we were expecting it to be a lot hotter this summer for a lot longer periods of time, and we actually found it not as too much into the frying pan. It was more late 35-ish most days instead of the 43 kind of like, oh my God, we can't do anything. So
yes,
it was a pleasant surprise. It was more manageable.
Yeah, I mean, you still have to get everything done sort of before midday, and then use your afternoons fairly leisurely and just little bits, you know. Otherwise, it could get a bit overwhelming. But yeah, no, I mean, but that's what people want. That's why you're coming out to Portugal, for the good weather.
It is. It is. Get shopping, get everything done by midday, and then enjoy yourself in a little area like this. Spend the rest of the day cooking dinner. Are you interior designers? What's happening here? This house is so beautiful. Is this all your own styling?
Yes, yeah. This dining table actually is an English elm dining table, which we designed ourselves.
Yep. Fantastic. Okay, and you have a pool here, very nicely done as well, as you might imagine. Some lovely blues and violets there. So this is the pool. Where is this in relation to the property? This is near the pétanque court or in another corner of the grounds?
Yeah, near the pétanque court, just behind the barbecue entertainment area. So it all flows quite nicely, and then it's broken up with the purple flowers, which are lemon verbena. So they're absolutely fantastic. Butterflies. And bees, and also then you can make you can dry the leaves and make tea as well.
Lemon verbena by the pool, so you can sip on your cocktail in the pool, watching the butterflies and bees go by.
Yeah,
not bad at all. And then when you're out of the pool, you can luxuriate in this rather comfy looking chair and look out over the countryside.
Yeah, this is all the garden up until the far tall trees.
Really? So what have you got growing in there?
So it's mostly an olive grove and oranges in there.
Right, fantastic. Okay, so your own freshly squeezed orange juice in Cernache. Going inside to the house now, and these beautiful interior design touches here. Master bedroom?
No, that's actually the guest annex bedroom.
What? The guest annex? Tell us about that, please.
So downstairs we have a little sort of apartment, and this is a bedroom with ensuite, a little staging area so that you can get changed, whatever, and you've got for hanging your clothes and everything. You've got a wardrobe in the background, and the back there you can see the door that goes out to the front garden.
Lovely.
Front area.
Okay, so an annex for guests, that's quite useful. So, but that could also be a grannex, like a granny space, if you wanted to share your life.
We were intending it for Rupert's mum and dad. They came over for 3 months this summer and just had a wonderful time down there.
I bet they did. Fantastic. But who won the pétanque? Which generation?
I think it was 50-50 in the end, but most of the time the dog takes the balls and then it's game over, so it's wine time.
Of course, yes. And look at this lovely freestanding bath here. That's a luxury experience there as well, isn't it? So one of your many bathrooms, possibly?
Yes, this is actually in the master suite, this one up in the eaves of the house.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, and I think we stay there, don't we? This the master suite, you call it, in the eaves. Very nice, very comfortable looking space. You can enjoy the late afternoon sun there, can't you? And get a bit of shade as well. Anything else to say about that? The master suite.
It's just wonderful to wake up in it, isn't it? You've got lovely light coming through, and then we've got blackout blinds as well. So if you do want an afternoon siesta, it's very handy.
Right. Loving this life. And talking of light, I mean, we can see you're bathed in light now. This is a very Portuguese thing, isn't it? This it can be quite a misty morning, and then suddenly you're blessed, as you two are right now, and bathed in sunlight coming through. You got a lovely blue sky there at the moment.
Yeah, it's really bright blue today. We've had 2 days of rain, so it's topped up the well and the borehole really nicely, which is wonderful.
The well and the borehole. Okay, so you're independent water-wise, are you over there?
We also have
50-50.
mains water as well, but we use the well and the borehole to fill the swimming pool and water the garden, the veg patch and bits. And then we have regular council water as such to the house. But we haven't had either of them tested. But I'm sure if you wanted, you could go and have them tested and see if it's okay for human consumption.
Very good. Okay, and back down from upstairs into the living room here?
Yeah.
Very nice.
The living room. We should kind of have it as a nice snuggy TV room for winter, and we've got the wood burning stove in here. So it's come 4 o'clock, we get the fire on and just
but you guys,
really
honestly,
cozy.
what are you thinking though? 3 dogs and white furniture and white rugs. How does that work out on a day-to-day basis?
Just have to bath the dogs quite regularly and make sure they're well covered.
daily bath for the dogs, but plenty of water from the borehole. Very good. Okay, and a lovely interior. I love your horizontal white tiles that you've got in your kitchen there as well. Of course, very beautiful. That's nice. Lovely bathroom, and that's a chunky shelf there. That's a beauty, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lovely wooden shelf, and it's just nice that it adds a rustic feel to it, but also being quite practical as well. You don't feel like the sink's going to fall down, so that's a bonus.
No, and that's a sink placed on top of the wooden worktop there. Is that a stone, like a carved stone sink?
Yep, it's exactly that. Like a nice carved
Very nice.
sink.
Very, very nice. Beautiful. Okay. I think we've been in here before. Sorry, that's a repeat picture, but still worth having a second look at, I think. Lovely exposed pillars there. And the kitchen. Beautiful kitchen as well, where you're sitting now, I believe.
Yes. Yeah, it's really functional, really practical. Me and Rupert both love to cook as well, so we've put it through its paces.
And did you do all of this yourselves? Did you have it done, or was it like this when you moved in?
No, we bought it like this because we wanted somewhere just to move in straight away, which suited our lifestyle at the time. So yeah,
fantastic.
Yeah, so we're
okay, and the long shot again back to the Pétanque court in the front of the house there, and the exterior with a sun deck, I think, coming out from one of the upstairs bedrooms there. Yeah,
no, that's coming. So there's a little balcony that comes out of the dining room, kitchen area, and then where you had the little chair with the view, that's where that photo is taken from. So it's great for morning sunshine or just a nice cool afternoon, but then you still get a little corner for late sunshine in the winter as well, just so you can have a little top up of vitamin D throughout the year.
Good idea. Good idea. That is so beautiful. Well, thank you for letting us have a little nosy round. It's like through the keyhole this morning. Well, of course, let's see, because I'm sure we've got some questions and comments about your place there. I'm sure people are agreeing with me about how beautiful it is. Lots of comments this morning. But what's it on the market for?
330,000 euros.
330,000 euros, and are you handling the sale direct, or is there an agent? People should
private. We're just doing it ourselves.
So come back to you then. Fantastic. Yeah. And you're going to be leaving the area. Are you favouring exploring a different part of Portugal now?
We just want to go maybe a little bit more cosmopolitan. And see how that suits us. But also we're going to be traveling more back and forth to the UK as well, because we've got ill parents back there. So
oh dear, that is one of the difficulties, isn't it, of moving abroad? I'm so sorry to hear that. Which that does affect your plans, of course. So which cosmopolitan area do you fancy? Do you think are you going to go into the capital?
Yeah, I think we're going to head that kind of down that more way. Yeah, we'll give it a go and see what it's like.
All right, so maybe now is the time. Oh yeah, talking of vitamin D, I take my vitamin D, zinc, and herbal tonic to reduce the viral load and increase my immune system. What do others do? So you'll mention the vitamin D going down very well there. What's the best way to get in touch with you guys?
Either through Facebook, or you can message us on the telephone, or you can drop us an email. All
right, and maybe if you could, do you want to give us the email address now for anybody who will see this later on?
Yeah, it's april.cherry, that's CHERRY.
CHERRY. I'm going to put this in the comments. So april.cherry
at live.co.uk.
Excuse me, sorry for my pedestrian typing, but I want to make sure I get this right. So april.cherry at live.co.uk.
Yep, that's the one.
What a lovely insight into Cernache de Bonjardim. Did we miss anything this morning? Anything else that we should tell people?
I don't think so. And any more questions they can ask us through the email. So
Yeah,
we're very open to help out in any way we can.
Yeah,
So
there's
there
lots
you
of
go.
road biking and yes, lovely outdoor adventure spot, and you can do as much or as little as you want. So it's perfect for everybody.
I just feel like you're in your own little world here in our land. It's certainly you feel enclosed, but close enough to amenities that that you don't have to worry if you run out of money.
Yeah.
And I think nice neighbours, judging by this comment, I can confirm that the land, the location is fabulous. Great house for entertaining. The next owners will be super happy there. We have a great expat community locally. This is over at Cernache and Cernache, isn't it? We'll be sad to see Rupert and April move further afield. So thank you for that, Karen Carter Pearson this morning.
Karen, she'll be definitely around to say hello to the new owners, I'm sure.
Okay, so Karen's around there as part of that community. Fantastic. So lovely to speak to you. Good luck with that, and all the best with the folks back home. And lovely to meet you this morning.
Thank you very much, Carl. Have a great day.
And all the best. Ciao, ciao. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao. There you go. April and Rupert there in Cernache de Bonjardim. Any questions, you can see you've got the email address there. april.cherry@live.co.uk. So good luck to them. I've missed a lot of comments, I think, here. So let's catch up again, shall we? BJ actually stands for booster jab. Some clarification. I think James is needing to explain himself in the comments this morning. We see this. I'm going to have to give this another spin, aren't I? This could be the tone and timbre of the comments this morning. Woo! Okay, I quite like that, but I don't want to overuse it. Ugh, I'm done. Yeah, I think what's happened here this morning. This is what I've been wanting to say for a little while about the trigger stuff and where we go to occasionally. I have my chance to read it this morning, don't I? So Jack, the memory of Jack Holly evoked this morning every time I read out Jack Polly there, and the image of me in a bonnet in a pram attempting to get into a restaurant. Not really. I'm not really doing that. Okay. And yeah, so my efforts to assuage, is that right? The word assuage and calm OLP's concerns. Chris is a seasoned traveller to Portugal, and actually Portuguese. Andy will also be able to tell you it's not as bad as it seems. Okay, Oregonians living in Portugal, honestly, coming to Portugal isn't that hard really. So many people have moved here even during the height of the pandemic. Yeah, people have bought houses unseen physically, bought them online. And I met a lovely couple from Texas. That's what you can do it, OLP. So lots of encouragement from James Holly, who moved here in the pandemic, of course. And from Pete Bleach, Thames water is just awful. So true. Wasn't Kenny brilliant? I think Carl would do a good Reg Prescott with overalls and Diane glasses. I think I know what you're getting at there. And Donna Jacqueline's here this morning. If you're treated like a child as an elderly person, I should be considered for free entry into every cafe, dining place, cinema, and really everywhere that adults are banned, says JB there. I am an American from Lonnie to the OLP. I'm an American that moved here at the beginning of November. Moving here is not difficult, but it does seem complicated initially. That's right, like so many things in life, right? And then when you actually think, okay, I'm going to do this, and we will figure it out, you actually do, as many I think are going to show us here. Reach out in the forum. I'm happy to help. So there you go. A message from Lonnie to you, OLP there. Dr. Fauci is very professional, and no, he is very down to earth. Please look up all things he did in the AIDS epidemic. Fake news is so rampant. I'm very sad to hear people putting one man down for a worldwide pandemic, says OLP. Good morning, chaps. Just waiting on the snow, meant to arrive just after 9 a.m. Don't worry, Abel is not in Portugal. Although there has been some snow in Portugal, isn't there, over the Serra da Estrela. But no, that's coming into Scotland, where Abel finds himself this morning. So Happy New Year. Don't think we've seen you yet this year. And Eusebio, he had a burst, didn't we? We had a real burst, thick and fast, yesterday of today in Portuguese history. And we've not seen him this morning. Must be busy elsewhere. Looks like a Carl Bonnet Pram combo is incoming. via the Photoshop and the WhatsApp, I suspect. Antonio F. Shout out to you, Abel, from Antonio F. Carl, I got carded in Portugalia. I sent you the clip of us in an empty restaurant. You did. I was very sad to see that. And yeah, I enjoyed myself yesterday, Andy, the frango no prato con ovo, con arroz y patatas fritas, and that incredible butter sauce they do. A classic for me. Is that what you like there? And thanks to Lonnie. Cheers, Lonnie. I thank you from me as well for reaching out to the OLP there, who are making their way here. And I think some comfort from Rebel Mama extended here as well this morning. Don't bother with logic. I swore this year not to be involved with the sea stuff anymore. Whose name dare not be mentioned. Today is the day of the kings. Dia dos Reis. It is also Trumpy Day. Oh no, don't say that. Rebel Mama will be out of here. I think maybe she already is from what she said earlier on. I've got to catch up in the comments. Keep your eyes peeled on CNN. I'd rather not. I'd rather peel my eyes than keep my eyes peeled on CNN. That's a personal view. No need for anyone to get upset. But then again, that's up to you if you do want to. And this is what I wanted to say about I won't play it again just yet, but we have to use that sparingly, won't we, the trigger alert. But really, I do think long and hard. Write that down, James, long and hard. I do think long and hard about this sort of thing. And, we pride ourselves on having a respectful legal community. Those are basically the ground rules for communication here. I'm not into censoring people because I don't like what they say. And I'm not keen on the pressure on me from other people to say, you shouldn't allow that person to say that. That's not to say you shouldn't say that to me, but my preference here, and it's working fairly well so far, notwithstanding the occasional difficult day, but that's life, is that I'm keen to proceed on that basis of our ground rules of legality and respectfulness in communication. Because sometimes we have people who are just terrible communicators, who just make things a whole lot worse by coming in with a lot of ad hominem personal attacks. And that's really not big or clever, Max Flight, if you're watching. I think it's important to make an effort to at least communicate in a respectful and certainly legal way. We won't tolerate any illegality in terms of what people are suggesting or encourage that. And I don't think it's right to take people out just because of mere offense, because what I think is important at the moment, a possible silver lining, a message, a cosmic message to us all, is that the things that trigger us could be very useful to us as well. And my personal approach to that, I'm not saying you should do this, but I suppose I can take some responsibility for initiating this show and protecting this space and sharing with you what I like to do in this sort of situation. Is if I am, if my red button gets pushed and I get activated, which I do, then I look within. I think it's important to stop, to pause, and when you can feel it. And I can, just talking about it, I can feel it now, and be in our bodies. So this is my step process. If you'll indulge me for just a moment, is when the triggering happens, is to like, whoa, okay, practice some self-awareness, some self-consciousness about this, and obviously. It would, it's a normal response in these sorts of situations, and social media has encouraged us to do this, is just to flame right back at the person who has offended you, or the sentiment that's being expressed has offended you. So you just come right back, and then it's a battle of who's right. And those things, I mean, have we not learned yet that doesn't tend to go terribly well, and it tends to polarize the situation, and then you end up ultimately with just echo chambers of people and not very useful evolutionary conversation, let's call it that. It's divergent rather than convergent. So what I urge, and certainly what I practice myself, and it will be wrong and foolish of me to suggest something I don't do myself. I have a look. Why am I upset by that? Where in my body is that? Am I feeling that? And that process takes me to sometimes to this actually is nothing to do with Donald Trump or COVID or Fauci or any of the people that appear to be triggering this, or that person that said that in the comments about the aforementioned people, ivermectin, etc., etc. This is actually triggering me because of a previous experience, which is so well practiced in me. I barely noticed, but today I've got a little bit of a purchase on it. And it's to do with something that happened long, long ago, where I felt the need to survive. Basically, it was as though my life depended on it. And that's how it feels to us, doesn't it, as children, when we find ourselves in those most awkward of situations. We are so mortified sometimes as kids, even as adults, that we have to do something so drastic that it really does feel like our life depends on the next step we take, which could be to, fight, flight, or to go to sleep, or whatever it is, or to eat more, or drink more, or whatever it is, sex addiction, whatever those methods we chose to deal with our pain, we practice them, don't we, over and over again. And this goes on and on and on throughout our lives. And if we can but get back to the original trigger, oh my word, can you imagine full of people who did that work, who recognized that all of the arguments and difficulties were projections, and they are. I'm not saying there aren't things that are horrible in the world. I'm not saying that whatsoever. But I think there is a distinction to be made between doing the right thing and seeing what you see as wrong in the world and doing something about it on a very practical and intelligent way, and the other bit, which is a lot of in the world, which is the huge emotional response to things, which in many ways isn't a very great force for change. It seems to be a massive force for disruption and polarity in our world. And that's what I try to do, is to see whether it's an emotional reaction and it's something to do with the past and something I can heal in myself, or if it's truly something that I want to be part of healing in the world. So thank you for letting me have that little. I mean, there was nothing you could do about it. I was going to say that anyway, but I'm just kind of feeling the need to say thank you if you stuck around to hear all of that, for indulging me. I really do thank you for your attention in that regard, and I hope that's a spirit in which we can continue. So let's see what else is being said. So Trumpy Dale, that's a big one of those moments. But Maxine, I wonder what you mean by that. Beautiful sunshine here. If in doubt, talk about the weather. But we have been asked for our vaccine status 4 times thus far over here. So where are you, Pete? You've been asked 4 times. Is that today or ever? Pete. Oregonians living in Portugal. Yes, I intuitively trust Dr. Fauci, and I've learned that my intuition is highly reliable. And Thunderduck Search, 1988, open letter to Fauci from Larry Kramer. It's a good place to start. And who doesn't like an LFT? What was it? I've forgotten already. What is an LFT in the morning? But that is our thing, isn't it? Who doesn't like a ... in the morning? I think that is the catchphrase of the Gumpers. At least we aren't as badly off as Djokovic. Imagine being refused entry to a prison colony. Steady on, Pete. That's going to have people. That's going to have the red button pushed, isn't it? Isn't it interesting that his name is Novak, which is almost Novaks, isn't it? Novak's Djokovic there. Can I retire? I say back to the practicalities from SW this morning. Can I retire to Porto on my Irish passport? And I will not make a silly joke about that. I would say so, yes. I mean, on face value, if you are an EU citizen, you can move freely, unlike the Brits now. You can move freely around Europe as an EU citizen. So yes, you will be able to do that, but there are other conditions required and steps that you should take to do so. You can't just come here and retire. You do have to do the necessary processes as well. But it is a whole lot easier than, for example, if you are British or American, to do that on an Irish EU passport. Natalie Gray, not far from Cernache, the Bonjardim, where we spoke to Rupert and April earlier on. Hola de tomar, finally some sun. Watched that yesterday movie, enjoyed it greatly. Really great to watch that during the Christmas period. A well-timed release of that movie, making it available to sit down on the sofa whilst letting the worst effects of the Christmas excesses do their worst and alleviate. Lovely to see that. Not a big fan of what's he called? Ned Sheeran, is it? Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran. And his acting was pretty wooden because he's a singer-songwriter and he's not an actor. Always awkward, isn't it? Just think of David Bowie. But really enjoyed the movie. Very, very good. Squeezing that seismic activity in Carl. Not sure if that is good for your bowels. Remains to be seen. remains to be seen. And Bowles, no. Expats Portugal, I read online that the automatic renewal online doesn't apply to people covered in the withdrawal agreement. We need to attend in person. However, I'm doing more digging. I think COVID is spreading quite well on its own, so let's make a pact not to proliferate it more verbally. I'm tired of it all. Let's make our own COVID-free zone here. Yeah, and I was tempted to do that, Gary. I don't think it's right to have, we can't talk about that, because that's part of the problem at the moment, isn't it? Oh, you can't say that, or you can't talk about that. But yeah, there's no point us every morning having a ding dong, is there, about COVID? I think it's useful to share the occasional information, especially where people are genuinely confused and need a little bit of guidance. And let's stick to the practicals. I think it's pretty clear, isn't it, what people's views are. And they can share them, and we don't have to go into it. And like I said before, one of the great things about being upset is that there can be gold in that upset, can't there? Whoever made a serious change in life without getting upset first. Lonnie McLaughlin agree. We moved here sight unseen mid-March, and everything was shut down and pretty much completely. It is possible. So lots of people, OLP, attesting to the fact that it can be done, and it does seem more difficult from afar, but we're here to help you. Omicron might be a good thing because it is less lethal, making COVID less lethal, and hopefully that will continue even if we get new strains. Back to the bowel movements. JB, I really agree, Gary. Conversation in my house on the boring subject is banned. A ban has been introduced there. No banning here. Garvo, does that mean we can go back to nudist tree hugging chats? No, I think that's banned as well. By Gary. Austin, Gary Austin, I've decided not to speak about it anymore. Much easier. You just did. I'm just being cheeky and mischievous there. Not fully recovered from my BJ. Oh, so we'll need a bit of a rest before I'm ready to go again. I should have read that in the erotic novel style. That all will be revealed. No, we all have our own views, so I can accept that and agree to disagree. Okay, yeah. What else can you do? You could get really upset. Rebel Mama, that sounds a little odd for us. I see that is the awesome name, Rebel Mama. Much love to you. That sounds a little odd for us. Okay, but I think all is well there. And OLP and Rebel Mama taking some comfort in a growing friendship, it would appear. Don't worry, OLP. We got it. We've got this. I will speak about it every day. I will not hide from the truth. Dead Poets Society moment. Come down off the table, Thunder, and boost the boost the jab, BJ there. My recommendation is for Frigorifico, which has a plumbed-in water supply, so you can enjoy chilled, filtered water and ice on demand. Check you out. A first world pleasure there. Only pictures, only with pictures, Peter. A nude side of Gumpers. Oh, Jacqueline, honestly. Encouraging naked pictures to be sent. Not to my WhatsApp, if you don't mind, everybody. If somebody wants to set up a special, should we call it a specialist site for that sort of thing, the nakedgumpers.com, you're welcome. No shaming of the naked body here, but probably something would get myself banned from YouTube for encouraging and featuring on the show here. We'll have to have strategically placed wine bottles, won't we? Or wine boxes in the case of some people here. Thunder, point is nobody really knows what the truth is for sure these days. Gary, I do, you know that. All I know, says Gary, is that I will come up against it sooner or later, so just hope I can get through it. So you don't even know that, Gary. Skateboarding, the memories, the bruised coccyx. Are you talking about splinters or climbing a tree, Garvo? No, he's talking about the word that dare not be mentioned. The geodesic centre of Portugal is in Vila de Rei, near Cernache. Tell us more. That sounds fascinating. The geodesic dome centre, or actually, like the geographical centre, is actually near Cernache there. Tell us more, Antonio, if that sounds fascinating. At Gary from Thunder, the information is out there. Check the FDA and CDC websites for peer review studies that are being suppressed by the media. Behave yourself, Peter. This is not the man cave. There we go. And we both had COVID, and it was a nothing burger. However, we don't have other issues or underlying conditions, says Thunder. Okay, live and let live. I will not impose my views on anyone, but I also not be silenced. Yep. Fair enough. I have some sympathy with that, Thunder. Thunder is totally objective for every study or fact. There is a counter study or fact. And this is interesting, isn't it? Because this is that little situation us humans get in as well, isn't it? It's like, okay, I'm done with that. I'm not talking about it anymore. Okay, just one more comment. But that's it. I'm not saying any more after that. I'm going to punish people with my silence, in fact. I will not speak to you on this matter, and let my silence be a message to you that you are wrong. What did they just say? Okay, I can't stay silent any longer. Okay, do you mean coccyx? What's going on here? Click the 3 dots to the right of my post. Ooh, we're going there this morning. It's a block me dare. A block me dare there. Glad you're all good, Thunderduck. Portuguese, thank you. And that's the one I repeatedly fell on whilst attempting to stay on that. What on earth are these gentlemen talking about now? Again, it's down to what agenda or side of the fence these experts or credible sources fall. Personal choice in the end, but that's a whole different argument, and I will defend that to the last. Huzzah! Falling down on the coccyx and damaging oneself. A friend broke his tailbone after skiing and has suffered for years. That does sound painful, doesn't it? Wow. I didn't know about the 3 dots block thingy. Yeah, it's pretty good facilities. Didn't I do that? I did that to Suze. Where is Suze? What's happened to Suze, everybody? I don't think she would shy away from a little bit of friction on the show. I agree 100% about personal choice, especially when it comes to medical freedom. And a reminder from the Owen this morning, clarity and unity, folks. How can we, if we truly believe that clarity and unity is the way forward, is how we're being reflecting that? Because there are parts of us, aren't there, that are quick to war. And those are the ones that go against the clarity and unity, I think, aren't they? And those are the ones, as I would have it, as I said before, that are connected to unresolved issues within us as well. Always worth checking for the unresolved issues, or you can just be a straight up in your face person and ignore that and make everyone else in the world wrong. How's that going for you? Bon dia, Carl, from Michelle Lehmann this morning. Hello, in Australia. How is it from the Australian point of view with Novak Djokovic? Tell us about that, Michelle, while we've got you here. Thunder is what truth you choose to believe, and you don't have the right to enforce your vision of truth on others. I don't think he's doing that, actually. And I'm a big fan of alternative medicines, especially diet. Isn't it funny that we live in a world where diet is seen as an alternative medicine? I think that's true. And Jim White is here. Jim, so good to meet you. And that, yes, we will be getting up to some mischief, I'm sure, as soon as you have settled in. And we look forward to coming over and seeing you in Panache. And we've got to go to that place in Lourinhã, right? Bon dia todos from Panache, from Jim this morning. And going back, yeah, Karen is here this morning, brought in by Rupert and April's appearance, I think, attracted by that and singing the praises of Cernache de Bonjardim. As I am, Thunder, and most modern medicine has its roots in this anyway. Chewing at the old tree bark. Got a headache? Have a bit of tree bark. Lick a tree. Good morning, Portugal. The amber nectar in the mornings to brighten up your day. Carl, can we have a 2-hour show in the morning, 8 till 10? No, we can't. Exactly. What works for me may not work for others. No one has the right to enforce anything on others, not even the authoritarians running the world. But they sure are trying. I'm not familiar with Chinese medicines, but my wife has great results with acupuncture there this morning. Okay, here in the convict colony, we're having large numbers of Omicron. There's always been a lot of fear here, and the media play their part, says Michelle. And I take my vitamin. Oh, okay, thank you, Michelle. We'll go back to that comment that you made earlier on. Thank you for that. And yeah, what sort of effect is old Novak's having? Because I think the media are going to town on him, aren't they? Big Pharma doesn't make money from alternative medicines or off-patent medicines. Therefore, the information is suppressed and in some cases, access restricted. But I'm sure you've made workarounds, as you appear to have done here, Thunder, with the Vit C, the Vit D, the K2, I thought it was a mountain, zinc and echinacea, and a bit of the old B12 for good measure. I can hear him coming down the street, rattling. I was thinking about the hokum that is rhino horn or shark fin, or panda's scrotum for various ailments. Well, I was going to say don't knock it till you've tried it, but no, I wouldn't. I'm not going to say that. But I wonder. Where did you get to with your thinking, I guess, is my question to you there. But I do think that's perhaps an unfair caricature, fair in part possibly, but an unfair total caricature or writing off of Chinese medicine there, Andy. If that indeed is what you're trying to do, good luck, April and Rupert. Best of luck to both of you. We hope your parents get better. Cheers, Pete, for that. Ointment is what you need if your head's been cut. That sounds like a Monty Python to me. Ointment is what you need if your head's been cut off. Okay, yes, and the multivitamin as well. Don't forget the multivitamin. I eat broccoli, greens, and lots of fruit. It's a whole health protocol emerging in the comments this morning. So great to have met you and Lisa this week. What a lovely fan. Oh, cheers, Jim. Very kind. And right back at you. Great to meet the pair of you as well. Carl, love the trigger alert. Yes, it was made with us in mind. And it could perhaps lighten the mood from time to time, can't it? Or certainly distract us as we go to those sore and raw points within ourselves that are there, clearly, I think, for most of us. Be careful not to OD on the Vit D. There's a lot of medical literature concerning the downside of too much vitamin D. Whereas with vitamin C, you know when you've had too much vitamin C, right? Your body helps you take care of that. Oh, how many people want to see Carl in a pram? Maybe a quick rendition of the Good Ship Lollipop. And I think you'll be served anywhere. I think if I dress up as a baby in a pram, I won't be served anywhere, quite frankly. Colloidal silver is awesome. I would agree. I've used colloidal for years. Do love to mist it and sniff it straight up my hooter. That could be a segment edited out to my disadvantage, couldn't it? Morning, fellow frogs. What? Trogs even? So what are the troglodytes of the man cave? Don's here, everybody. Watch out. Do they celebrate the 6th of January as a little Christmas in Portugal? I think, as Maxine pointed out earlier on, it is the Day of Kings today, isn't it? 12th night here in Portugal, with Ruby's birthday as well. January the 6th was disgrace for America. Yeah, I believe wholeheartedly in free speech, but when they're just spreading hatred is not appreciated by me or tolerated. So there you go. Let's not let that be the only memory we have of the 6th of January, though. Okay, plenty of other things were going on in America in that day. You know, I think there were millions of people being beautiful on the 6th of January in America as they were. This is what we tend to forget, isn't it? That all over the world right now, in this very moment, there are people just being lovely and going about their business in a benignly and quiet human way. There are grandparents lovingly looking at their grandchildren. There are parents lovingly looking at their children. There are children looking at parents. There are friends looking at friends. There are lovers looking at each other right now, all the time, every day, every moment of the day. But if you would believe those rascals in the media, they'll be telling you this, that, and the other is happening, which is where your attention should be, on the gloom and doom. Why would they do that, I wonder, when there is so much beauty in this world of ours? Why? It's a good question. And another question, should we take our Christmas lights down today? Yes, if you ask me. If you ask me, yes. 65 watching. Yeah, even with all the trigger alerts, there are 65 watching and 12 likes. Hit the likes, folks, says Rebel Mama. Notice, choose, and act. A motto worth keeping. Yeah, notice. Should we have a quick notice, everybody? Ooh, that's nice. If you don't go within, you go without. January the 6th was an... Oh, come on, don't be... Okay, we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again. We're going to... Oh, Agavo. How about Morlocks? Well, what you do in your private life is your business. Obviously, you too. Go play with your Morlocks elsewhere. My Christmas stuff. Down and packed away already. Gary doesn't mess about, does he? A part of your new exercise regime, all that stretching and bending, Gary? And yeah, we need to talk after the show. I thought you might like to do the Growing Old Disgracefully program. Jazz Funk track of the day, Gwen McRae, all this love that I'm giving. American singer, married George McRae in the 60s, and they initially performed as a duo. Gwen was the first to land a solo hit. Amazing. What a tune. All this love that I'm giving. Look it up. If you don't know your jazz, funk, and soul, that's a good place to start. If it turns you on, Pete, that's your own. See, this is how accepting we are here. Morlocks or not. We extend the breast of friendship to you. Anyone listen to Gabor Mate? Well, yeah, Jack. There's not a single trauma conference that comes part. Every time I see a new trauma-based and healing-based conference, I'm thinking Gabor Mate's got to be the keynote of that, and often he is. Verdad, Carl. Thanks for that, Jack. And he is worth looking up. Quite incredible. Verdad, Carl, about why we are triggered. Amen, Carl. And Lonnie, who knows a lot about this stuff, I tell you. I do find it interesting that most of the triggered, feverish opinioning is from Americans. I came to Portugal hoping to live in the kindness here. Kindness and peace, or triggered opinions. Choose. This is a cue for the Lonnie. Can you be Morpheus saying that? Kindness and peace, or triggered opinions. Choose, Neo. Peter Bleach, I'm not sure, Gary Austin. In my mind, I'm an Eloy, but I represent as a Morlock. What is he talking about? Carl, you are the... Oh, thank you very much, Victoria, for that. Oh, even dressed up as a baby in a pram. And Thunderduck. And Thunderduck's got the clap from Sam Wells this morning, and Cindy B just sitting there, loving us all. That's what I'm talking about. There is love is in the air. In my personal and professional experience, all confrontation and conflict is ego-driven. It's hard to remember that, though, isn't it? When you're on one and you're being really right and you've got to show everybody else how wrong they are. But that, I think, is exactly what you're talking about, right, James? Whenever ego feels challenged, it reacts with defense and or attack. Yeah, the wish to be right or not be wrong. It's amazing, isn't it? It's very reliable, very reliable. Hello from Dudley this morning. Lateral flow test. That sounds like a soul band, doesn't it? Coming out of Baltimore, it's lateral flow test, everybody, with their new jam. Love is all around us. Relaxa e bebe uma superboc from Portugal. Now, there's a solution. We're talking about beer yesterday, weren't we? So I think we may get Superboc sponsorship from our trigger warning. So to the marketing officials of Superboc and Sagres, who wants to sponsor our trigger warning as the solution when triggered? Just reach for a cold beer. Our very own Jimmy Carter. I'm not sure how to take that. Michelle Leyminer, indeed. But prior to that, there's a lot of sleep on piles of silk throws and playful love on grassy knolls. What? Where has Pete gone this morning? Emotional reaction is a signpost to yourself and exploration, and can be so freeing and actually exciting, but best not to make important decisions on feelings. Good. It's a good theme. It's a good theme, isn't it? I think, yeah, I've been looking at this all my life, Donna Jacqueline, about emotions, feelings. And I think there's something, I think the feel good, the sensation of well-being as a feeling, I'm beginning to see is a very different distinction. The sort of stuff that Esther Hicks talks about, with the law of attraction, being in the feel-good place, that I wouldn't have that as an emotionally feel-good place necessarily. Although I'm not, the emotional scale is really interesting, isn't it? An interesting thing to look at. Check it out, folks, the emotional scale, because we are working ourselves up and down that thing probably all day long. But I do think that the feel-good thing as a measure of where we're at, and also as our autopilot or our GPS, it can be thrown out as a baby with the bathwater when people are attempting to be more stoic and not base their lives on their feelings and emotions. I think the feel-good compass is actually very powerful, personally. Don Murphy, Rebel Mama, is an old custom where the women who spent all over Christmas preparing meals and looking after the family get the day off. Usually they went out and celebrated the end of Christmas. No men. That's an interesting sounding tradition, isn't it? Better news regarding the reduced amount of testing required in the UK to travel. No longer, here we go, some news from UK. No longer need a pre-departure test when flying to the UK. Only need a lateral flow test on day 2 after arrival also. So that's good news, is it not? Did he throw his racket? Is that Novak's there? Alternative to grass, sheepskin rugs. Although the lanolin reaction could bring up a few rashes on the bottom, couldn't it? After a bit of, where are you taking me with this? I'm just hearing what I'm saying. Then I'm going to stop. Just remember, you are not allowed to talk about cancel culture. Yes, Stephen, we have cancel culture here. You see, Carl, this is what happens when you read my comments out of order. Yes, it is. And I can see If I do read your comments in order now, we are going to be here until midday today. Loving it, loving the amount of chat that's going on. But I'm going to pick and choose now very liberally. Not in a political sense. Please don't get triggered by that. Let's see. Carl, I don't want to trigger people with my talk of Novak, but it is bringing out the ugly Aussie in quite a few. Sorry to hear that. Carl, I like to say I'm not knocking it. However, I'm not trying it. That is a good philosophy, isn't it? Would sound good in Latin, I suspect. Matty's here on his new fibre connection. Anyone here live in Scotland? That'll be Abel that you're looking for. I can just see Abel singing hello to you there in the comments, thinking of a hiking trip and want to talk about the weather. Abel, can you help Rebel Mama, please? Questioning everything, but also accepting that some things are fact. The Earth does, in fact, revolve around the sun. Such is our current understanding. I missed the colloidal silver bit. That Suze is here, everybody. That stuff has been terrific for my scarring after mastectomies and my wood stove burn on my wrist. Incredible stuff. That is why the royals had access to the silver platters, right, and the silver spoon. Haven't heard anything about putting it up my nose. Interested in that. Carl said, put it up my nose. Please, I am not a doctor, as you well know by now. Carl, I'm against censorship, but when it's cold, wet, snowy in Belfast, it's Deagle, everybody. And Gumpers posting warm pictures in high temperatures is annoying. Yeah, sorry about that, Deagle. We get our yearly 3 weeks of good barbecue weather end of May. Looking forward to that. Paul, Louise and Lottie are here. Just happens to be on a hill. May have been less impressive if it were at the bottom of a steep valley. This is what happens when I read the comments in the wrong order. Please fill in the blanks as appropriately. Oh, Suze, yeah, tuning in late. We'll have to watch this on replay. Well, I hope you do. It was a good one this morning. And when I say banned, it is only the fear-building side that's banned it. It weakens me and others. Oh, that's the patronising view. I think you're talking about there, JB. All views should be accepted, but sometimes things that there are things that are right or wrong. Yes, or wrong or right. Carpe diem. Anyone know where you can get some good cider? Yeah, I think the emphasis is probably on good there. You see the mass-produced ones, Carpe diem here, which I think are just like fizzy pop with alcohol in, aren't they? The ones I remember tasting. Other than the Bandida and Summersby, the French one in Intermarché is okay, but I wondered if there were any others. We didn't have that in our conversation yesterday. I'm sure decent artisanal craft cider is made in Portugal. Can anyone help Carpe Diem with that? Okay, last few comments then. I need to check WhatsApp. What have you been sending in on the WhatsApp? No! Oh, okay. No, nothing in this morning. That's unusual. I think our attention has been on the comments this morning and not on the WhatsApp. 913-590-303, the number for that. I think we've done it. I think we've done ourselves and human beings justice this morning. Right and wrong are only relative to our intentions. That'll be a nice philosophical note to end on, to leave you musing over your coffee. There may be others, of course. The ciders in Normandy are amazing. Well, that's not very helpful, Pete. But they are, aren't they? I mean, apple growing country. And you would think, wouldn't you, here in Alcobaça area, Silver Coast, with all these, there'd be perry and cider here. And if there isn't, we should begin it. I have friends in Portland and Seattle, and one lives downtown. So I think they would give an accurate account. It serves the corporations to blow. What's happened now? What did I miss? I think I prefer the sound of frolicking. Where did I see frolicking? Great ciders are made in Oregon and Washington, says the OLP this morning. But and so does Pete in Normandy, but we need it closer to home, everybody. Let's go with the elder of the community here. Inner peace is not reliant on circumstances or emotions. It is a security that can be found anywhere, anytime. Yes, when you've cultivated the know-how to do that, I think that's absolutely right. JB, Donna Jacqueline, who gives a rat's A about the tennis person being excluded because they are treating all equally? Right. Well, you would think so, but clearly people have something to say about that. Carl filters already. Let's see if what have I said inadvertently there? So what is this filtering of comments? Carl already started remedial fat activities, cut back on the grub and booze, and out walking and wandering again. Oh, okay, so you already started your plan there, Gary. And look at this. Talk here possibly of starting our own country. Maybe we need a flag. We've got a song. Maybe we Gumpers have to see ourselves as our own loving country and let go of what was left behind, as did some of our ancestors who left homelands with a penny in their pocket, seeking a better life. Yeah, and aren't we moving in? You know, we're in the age of transhumanism. Surely we might be considering transnationalism as well. Hard to believe, isn't it, that we might live without passports and flags? I say hard to imagine. Didn't someone famously imagine that in the 1960s or 70s? They did, but so that's work in progress, isn't it? We just take it for granted, don't we, that we have to have those things. Do we? I ask you. My goodness, what a morning we've had here. I'm done for today. A last word, though. Citizen free press. Power to the people. And let's go out. Let's go out on this, shall we? Let's go out whistling this morning and giving ourselves a pat on the back. I think that we managed to embrace a whole load of different opinions and possibly feelings this morning. And here we are, still pretty much in the same room, and we'll be in the same room again tomorrow with our attitude towards each other, which I commend you all for, and thank you for demonstrating as an excellent example to the rest of humanity. Well done, folks. And yeah, let's do some whistling now, and we'll see you tomorrow. The perfect segue, basically, into Feel Good Friday with Jenny B tomorrow. Just when you thought we couldn't get any more elevated and ecstatic and feeling good about life, I'll leave you with that thought, that we have Jenny B with us tomorrow, taking us into the weekend with a Feel Good Friday. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much for your bringing yourselves this morning with your levels of authenticity and vulnerability and openness. You're very special to me, and I'll see you tomorrow.